Hiding in the smog of Nachman's exhaust vents, it's the Vox Cascadia podcast. Welcome back. It's been about a week since we've talked to y'all. My name's Chuck.
Hey, glad to be back as always. It's Connor.
What's up? And Tyler here also. How y'all doing?
Doing good, guys. Great to talk to y'all again. It's been about a little over a week since we talked, so let's talk about what you've been up to in the hobby. Last week for me has been a lot of working on scenery, working on terrain. I got my Beta Decima set out and shaved it all down and got it primed, and realized last night that I missed a few spots, and also been working on getting my scouts primed and realized I missed a few spots on those. Also got working on finding the perfect yellow for the stripes on my striking scorpions.
Finding the perfect yellow is such a hard thing to do. There's so many various slight tone variations that can really give a different effect.
Yeah, I got some golden, which I know is a favorite of yours, Tyler. And then also I was at Guardian Games the other day. I picked up a couple of the too thin coats, and I started to mess with that last night. And I'm liking both of them. I'm not sure which one I'll end up going with.
In terms of yellow, I know that Imperial Fist Contrast Yellow is a very nice, simple one coat is pretty yellow. Second coat's like, damn, I'm looking at a banana. But I know that might not be the yellow you're looking for a Guardian. But beyond that, I've been working on a whole host of teams. I have started this silly New Year's resolution of trying to complete for every month, or rather every day in a month, completing that roughly many models by the end of it. I'm giving myself till the 10th of every month because I didn't come up with the challenge until about the 10th of January. But for the past week, I've been painting up a Tempestus Scion kill team, working on a Talons of the Emperor proxy, a whole host of kit bashed AdMech models for my Big Hammer army. I built Phobos, Legionaries, and something else that I can't remember right now. But it's been a lot of painting, and I have half finished projects all over my desk.
You guys are so impressive. I haven't done any hobby in too long, other than rearranging my office repeatedly, trying to get that right set up. I did get a new computer desk in here though, so I have a completely separate computer desk and a separate hobby desk now, which I think is going to help me keep organized and hopefully motivated in the coming weeks.
Tyler, I wouldn't fault yourself. I think a big part of the hobby is rearranging after you've taken all your stuff out. And I know that a big chunk of my time was doing that too. I had paints all over the place. I got some stuff from LVO that was still kind of hanging out. And so, yeah, I think part of the hobby is reorganizing after you've done the hobby.
I tend to I tend to explode all over my hobby space when I hobby. I'll open up a box because I have my sprues separated into for kit bashing into different boxes, and I know where they all are. So I'll open up a box, grab out a couple sprues, clip a couple things, and I'll set those to the side in a pile, and then I have to deal with that pile when I'm done.
Yeah, I agree with Tyler. That's my method. It's mostly looks like a. If you guys probably know that meme from Always Sunny where Charlie's pointing at the wall like the conspiracy board thing. Instead of a wall, imagine that as a desk. That is my desk. I have at least 6 or 7 different projects on it. I've got like a nice L-shaped one, which is nice, but to anyone other than me, it probably looks like a rat's nest. But to me, I know where everything is, and it forces me to get it done because I'm tired of looking at a half painted model 2 inches in my face.
I feel like part of the chaos is part of the hobby as well too. So, and I can totally imagine you as Charlie from It's Always Sunny in that mess with your sprues on one side and your paints on the other side, and a poster of the Omnissiah up in the background too. So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that's not entirely incorrect. I do have the nice Miniac poster. I don't know if we can mention other people, so my bad if we have to cut this. Sorry, Eric. But I got that Miniac Paint More Minis poster, and I love that thing. And I've gotten more compliments of people seeing that aren't even from the hobby. But when I was taking it out of my previous apart, or rather dorm, a bunch of people saw that because it was on the top, and they thought that was cool. So that felt cool. But yeah, it is. I look like a maniac. Essentially, is what I'm trying to get at.
I have that shirt. It's a dope shirt. He makes nice stuff. I was talking to Uncle Adam at LVO, and he was saying that he's one of the few people out there that also uh, he has all this stuff made locally and screen printed, and artists do it rather than having it DTG, drop ship from China and stuff like that.
Yeah, Scott's I've actually met Scott the miniature maniac, and super nice dude too. So it's awesome that he's taking care of his local people like you are with the merch, Tyler. So um so on to our main topic for tonight. Let's talk about the US Open, the Warhammer Games Workshop US Open. And we're going to talk specifically about the Tacoma Open, but Tyler, you want to tell us a little bit about the US Open and what it is?
I mean, it's the US series for all of the Games Workshop games. So we got 40K, AOS, Kill Team, of course, the best game that they have. Sometimes Underworld makes an appearance. It looks like Heresy and Legion Imperialis are both showing up at the Opens this year. And then we got, what is it, Texas. And then we have Tacoma, which is the big event for us, coming up in July, middle of July. Then after that, Tampa in October, which is also interesting.
Yeah, and this all leads into the finals, the World Championships down in Atlanta in November, which is what's called a golden ticket event, where you have to win a tournament to get to it. And we sent someone from our area, the great Brandon Bean. We sent him from Killscream, and we'll probably be sending someone from Killscream this year too, I assume. So um, let's talk about Tacoma of the past, and then we'll talk about Tacoma of the future. So I was there in 2022. I just went for the hobby pass. I wasn't really playing Kill Team at the time, though. I did wander around and look at the Kill Team. I probably walked past some of your guys' games. I know a few of you were there too. I think Eric had mentioned one time that he actually saw me there. He recognized me by my beard. But I basically built a. They gave me a Infernal Master, I think it was, and I built a platform on it and had it fighting a Guardian, I believe it was. Brought that home, and it's sat on my desk ever since then. Tyler, I know that you played there though. What was that like for you?
It was very interesting. That was my first Kill Team tournament, honestly. Other than that, like up till that point, I had played a handful of people. I practiced really hard, headed up to Tacoma with Greg, incredible player. We were really drilling in on the essentials of the game, and I think there was 19 people that first year at Tacoma. Chris Baki came up from California, and we there was really intense games overall, and I came in second. But overall, I would say I left feeling like there was something here, that there was more. There's something lacking to the community that we needed more for the Northwest, and that we had potential to grow and have even better events than this was. Because while it was great to go up there, I was left unsatisfied with the state of the kill team scene in the Northwest.
And that's kind of where Kill Team Cascadia started, right? I know that Eric and you were up there, and on the way back from Tacoma, actually started Kill Team Cascadia, right?
Yeah. Basically, I told Eric that I wanted to gather all the players into Discord, which I did. It took me a couple weeks to gather everyone up and send out the invites, and then there was like small group of us, and we started to figure out what we wanted to do. But it was a plot hatched by myself and Eric on the car ride back to Portland and then to Salem, where I live, after I hijacked him off the train he was trying to take home.
Yeah, it's interesting where the start came from that one little tournament. Now you brought novitiates to that tournament, right?
I did, yes. My first love in the game.
And you brought him back out of retirement for Las Vegas Open recently too, correct?
Yeah. Basically I retired him directly after Tacoma, and then I brought him out a couple weeks before LVO. So they've sat on a shelf for a long while, waiting to come back out.
By the way, if anybody would like to hear a little bit more of that story of the creation of Kill Team Cascadia, you can go back to our first podcast and hear Eric talk about it himself. Connor, were you there in 2022 as well?
Unfortunately, no, I just barely missed out on it. I was thinking of going as it was right about the time I started getting into Kill Team, but I was still even more broke than now and in college, so I didn't have a way of really getting down there with no car. I really regret not going. At the time, I joked with friends. I was like, yeah, the train looked like it sucked, so I'm kind of glad I didn't. It would have kind of sucked to go there after spending money. And then have a bad time. But it turns out I missed on meeting like everyone, so now I do regret it.
And Tyler, you said that to touch on something that Connor talked about is the board layouts weren't exactly great. Is that correct?
They were not. It was basically one of each of the corner pieces, like a Feroctarius in the corner with uh, the little oil rig in the center, and then stuff spread out in a kind of a diamond shape in between it. It was real rough. A lot of the games were decided first or second activations a lot of times. It was a lot of people's first events also, or even like first games of Kill Team because they were just interested and there was no community at the time. So it was a very different event than anything we saw after that point.
Yeah, I know I was just kind of like I said, a little voyeur walking around watching people play Kill Team, but didn't get the courage to actually talk to anyone I hadn't actually played yet. Now, the next year, last year, they had Tacoma in 2023 again. I unfortunately didn't get to go to that event as I had another conflicting event with it, but Tyler and Connor, you were both there for that one, right?
That is correct. Yeah, it was very great to go and see everyone that I'd either for a lot of it meeting people for the first time that I'd been talking to in Kill Team Cascadia Discord for months at a time. So it's great to finally meet everyone. But also just a huge improvement both in player count and terrain as well. All the boards were set up really, really well. There wasn't a ton of I just got alpha striked off the board on the first activation. I don't, as far as I know, I don't think that happened at all. So shout out to Ben, I believe is his name, the guy that organized it. He did a great job getting terrain, and it was super, super fun.
Yeah, the improvement between the first and second year was huge. I think we'd seen a development in the community as a whole for Kill Team, and then Ben, who organizes Nova, was out running this for Games Workshop last year, and he just knocked it out of the park, made it a really great event. We showed up with 64 people in the Northwest, and Cats made a huge showing there too. It's really where we made ourselves known as a team in the kill team scene and in the Northwest overall.
Yeah, I think once we actually got our punctuation in our name figured out, that made a big difference on letting people know who we were. There's a lot of different variations of cats on BCP if you actually, or excuse me, the ITC standings if you actually go look us up. So, um, Connor, what did you bring to Tacoma? I think I have an idea what it was, but
Is that even a question? It was obviously Hunter Clade. It was of course Hunter Clade. It was a great time. The funniest thing is, ironically, my record wasn't even that good. Part of it was because I've definitely improved significantly since Tacoma Open, which is fun. Thank you, Brandon, for all but forcing me to get good at this game. It has paid off in dividends. But I went, I think, one win, three losses, and then two ties because that's where I also say the start of me getting a tie every tournament, which I finally broke that curse. But it started there in spades. I ended the third day with a tie, or sorry, ended the first day with a tie. Started the second day with a tie. But yeah, Hunter Clade was great, and it was awesome. I'm blanking on his name. I'm gonna go look it up and find it. But there was a player there who also was playing Hunter Clade, but it was his first time really playing like Kill Team and at all. And so he was just using random models he had from his AdMech army, and he brought like super unconventional stuff. Super cool dude. I got to meet him because I saw this guy, and from what people were telling me, he's like, yeah, he's playing with like a Sicarian infiltrator leader. He's running all Rangers. He's bringing all Sicarians, not a single Rust Doctor. And he was doing great. His score was like 20, 23, 19, like just top tier scores every time. And I was like, I need to meet this guy. I did. And I'm going to go look his name up now because it's annoying. I can't give you a proper shout out.
and you broke that streak by going totally defeated, right? No wins. Is that correct?
No, thankfully, yeah, sorry, that took me a second. I was like, what are you talking about? No, thankfully, I've at tournaments after that, I either got a single tie and then Kill Scream 3, or sorry, Kill Scream 2, I got another tie, just to annoy Brandon because he was next to me at the time. But most recently had a tournament where I went win loss, which sucked to win in the final round, but happy to be the tie curse.
It's good you got to break that curse finally. So, and then Tyler, you brought Intercession this year, right? Last year, I guess, 2023.
Yeah. Oh, that was rough. I felt bad bringing intercession like the whole time. My work schedule had been extremely hectic, like 14-hour days back to back for weeks on end prior to. So I hadn't really had a lot of time to prep, especially with the Colts meta. So I was just banking on doing pretty good with a team that is pretty reliable. Um, and that's what intercession are. I did really good for the first day up until I ran into Brandon Bean on capture with his Chaos Colt, and that really hurt. There was a moment where I did make a misplay and forgot to use a ploy at the end of turning point one to kill a mutant with melee, and I think that really cost me the game. I had a tie day two against Commandos, um, gentleman from Germany, which I can't remember his name at the moment. Um, Incredible game, really, really tight. And then, yeah, I finished ninth overall, which was solid. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I still think that's a good showing, especially this was during the pre-nerf Colts, right? And that in the hands of a player like Brandon Bean is going to be tough to get through, especially when he out activates you like 2-1, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was pre-nerf Colts. They were at their absolute nuttiest. It was very, very close up until Colts started doing Colt stuff. I had the opportunity to maybe put a stop to it, but a simple mistake against something like that, and there's no coming back. You don't have a room for error at that level of competition, especially against a team like Colts on their best mission. Maybe if it was loot, I would have had a little bit better chance.
Unfortunate loss there you had there, Tyler, against Bean, but overall, I think you're fine playing intercession. There was a lot of intercession at 23, which I enjoyed. I think Hunter Clade have a great matchup into them, especially now that the rending changes, or not rending changes, but rather the that rending works against you guys because durable got nerfed. But speaking of the Hunter Clade again, it was Zach who I met there, and he had an incredible record at Tacoma Open. And Zach, if you're listening, well done again, man. Always good to talk Hunter Clade with you.
Yeah, and we had you said there was a lot of intercession. Intercession ended up winning the whole thing, right? The final match came down to Greg with his Phobos versus Matt and his intercession, and Matt came out with the golden ticket, right?
That he did. Matt's a killer player. Just absolutely astute, really, really calculating. He definitely played intercession to their absolute max there. I don't think that there's probably anyone as good as him with them, but there's just a upper limit, I think, to what they can achieve.
Yeah, and Matt also was shooting for the final round of Kill Scream too until he ran into a crafty Casterkin player. I'm not sure who that was, but we can look it up later. So that was Tacoma 22 and 23. Let's talk about 2024. So it's going to be July 19th through the 21st in my home state of Washington. 3-day event. I think it's going to be 7 rounds of Kill Team. Is that what they said?
I think they said six, possibly seven.
Well, Games Workshop's likes to sneak in that what do they call it, the ghost round or the
Shadow round.
yeah, shadow round.
Yeah, if it's anything like what they're planning for 23, it's going to be 3 day or 3 rounds on Saturday, 3 rounds on Sunday, with that shadow round potentially. I think if we're at maxed players, which might be 64. I don't think they've announced exactly how many players will be allowed. Hopefully more, because that's always fun. But shadow round generally will be fourth round on Saturday.
Yeah, we're recording this a couple evenings before the tickets go on sale, so I think we'll find out more in just a few days. And I know that I'm going to scoop up my ticket as soon as I can. Are you guys going to be going this year again too?
I'm looking forward to it. I think we've already made arrangements on a place to stay, so I don't think I can back out at this point.
So we know we're going. One thing that we've seen though is that it looks like the prices are going to be going up this year. It looks like with tax here in Washington, it was about $69 last year, but it's going to be close to 100, 110 this year. As a couple people that went last year, do you guys think that the value for a 2-day tournament like this is still going to be there?
You know, honestly, the value for the event, if you're just looking at the what the event is pretty low um, in the past. For Kill Team, they've given us literally nothing. Um, not a coin, not a bag, not like a piece of paper that says "Yay Kill Team." Nothing. Which asking $100 for that and not giving us anything is quite a lot. Where you look at other independent events, such as our Kill Scream events, or just any of our events, and you're getting, $15 in stickers most of the time. Not always, but a lot of times, other stuff in it for a far less cost. So I hope that they're going to give us a little bit more for our money this year.
We got to get the humble brag in there that we throw the better events, of course. Yeah, it's a little expensive if it's discounted being the same thing. At the price, it's unfortunately just expensive. Regardless, $100 is always going to feel a little rough because it's three digits. That makes it exciting to anyone. But I think at least as an event itself, it's definitely worth it because even if you go 06, hopefully you're having a great time and meeting six wonderful people that you can have like a good game talking to the entire time about like what'd you get into Kill Team for? What got you into Warhammer? Why are you also a nerd like everyone in this room? The energy there of just like it's incredible just seeing that many tables for games in general because you have Age of Sigmar, you got at least for last year you had Age of Sigmar, you have proper 40k. The Kill Team tables were next to the Blood Bowl tables, which I think, as much as I love the Kill Team crowd, there's something very special and awesome about the Blood Bowl tables and the crowd themselves because it is the ultimate version of like a frat bro mixed with a hobby nerd because they were cheering people on like an actual football or soccer game or whatever during their matches. And they had a literal pre-game chant. Like I saw like all of the players line up in a giant huddle and chant to like their Blood Bowl god or something. And I was like, man, maybe I should try Blood Bowl watching that because that looked incredible.
Yeah, some of those other games, they really get into it. I was at Las Vegas Open last year and was at the ITC finals, and the Age of Sigmar people are absolute maniacs when it comes to celebrating. They just go nuts on like cheering on their people. So I'm not surprised that Blood Bowl is like that too. Maybe it's just a fantasy thing or something.
I mean, when you play a game for anywhere for 4 to 6 hours, you better cheer.
I don't hear those Warhammer 40k guys cheering. In fact, they kind of drop out early a lot of times. It seems like.
They're just having to deal with Eldar and their consistent baloney. I saw, for anyone that cares about Big Hammer, Eldar finally got their big nerf, which was exciting because they had been destroying the meta for a while. And the nerf came, and then they won a tournament regardless, just with a completely different list of new strong stuff on Eldar. So maybe that's why. Play Kill Team. Eldar are more balanced.
Eldar deserve to be overpowered. They deserve it.
You think the Eldar deserve to be overpowered?
Yeah, look at how long it took them to update their model range. They deserve to be overpowered. Like once the model range is updated fully, then they can be a little like mid-tier. 40k is not meant to be balanced anyway, in my opinion. It's like fun and crunchy and fluffy, like not a tournament game like Kill Team is.
Yeah, the people who want the balance game, they come to the skirmish game, Kill Team, not Warcry either. So one thing I'd like to bring up is while the pass is more for the game and the tournament than say like a ticket to one of our events, and maybe the prize payout's not as much, do you think it's worth it to pay that extra for the shot at the golden ticket? And I think these are GW golden tickets too, where besides just a ticket to the event, they help you get there and other things too, don't they?
That's honestly the big appeal of the event is the fully funded golden ticket from them. You know, everyone wants to go to Atlanta, ideally, tangle with the best of the best, show that they're the best, get a free vacation. Who doesn't want to do that?
I've heard that Atlanta in November is lovely. It's probably better in the Northwest actually that time of year.
Also, in case we haven't mentioned it, Atlanta is where Worlds for Kill Team and just Warhammer events in general by GW are hosted. So yeah, that's when we say Atlanta. It's the big deal. It's the one where you go to fight the best of the best, and you're gonna have a great time no matter what. Probably.
Yeah, anyone who wins one of these US Open events is actually gets that golden ticket to go to Atlanta for the final. And last year in the final in Atlanta, we saw they bring people from all over the world too. There was people from Spain, Australia, England. The Australians actually won the whole thing in, as far as Kill Team goes. And this year they're going to be having the grand narrative is going to be including Kill Team too. So it's another way for Kill Team to contribute to the Warhammer game and still be better than 40K.
If I don't win a golden ticket this year, maybe flying out for the grand narrative portion of Kill Team would be worth it alone.
I actually thought the same thing, that just to get there and get to that tournament, and maybe I'll do some cosplay too. Who knows? So with this open event, now we talked about 2022, their first event. We talked about the terrain. Now it was not good layouts. 2023 was a lot better, but it was all open still and not into the dark. Even though they had the boarding actions into the dark terrain, and it had been out for a while too. A year later, we're going to have not only open but into the dark and the new Beta Decima train. What do we think we're going to see there? Or we think we're going to see a mix of the open and the into the dark, like I saw at Adepticon last year, or do we think it gets Beta Decima too?
I think we're going to see a lot like what we saw at Worlds, a mixture of ITD and open. I don't think we'll see Beta Decima. I don't believe it's in the packet for now. However, last year I believe that Into the Dark was on player packet, but we never played any. So it still remains to be seen. I sure hope it's not another year of Octarius alone. I'd like to see more variation, even if it's just some kind of weird stuff out there.
Tyler, do you think that they didn't bring Into the Dark to the Northwest because of your fervent campaign against Into the Dark in the Northwest? Is that why they didn't bring it?
I mean, like, you know where you're not welcome into the dark, so
Realistically, the best way for us to find out is seeing what I think Texas is the one before Tacoma, and they were similar. Though the bright side for us was that if it was Texas or the Kansas City Open before Tacoma of 2023, we saw that the terrain looked relatively similar to what the 2022 Tacoma Open looked like. But then we roll up to Tacoma 23, and the terrain had been fixed, so that was very exciting. But yeah, I hope ideally they do something similar to Worlds, where it's the mix of both open and into the dark, which is ITD. Ideally, if they do, it'll be like one day all open, one day eye to the dark, I into the dark. Good lord, because at least to me, nothing would be less exciting than it just being completely random chance. Because to me, at least in terms of like proper competition, that kind of eliminates it. Like, say you bring Felgor and you match on open the entire time, you're going to be in a rough state because you're just going to get shot off through vantage points. And similar thing if you bring Pathfinders and play 4 out of your 6 games of Into the Dark, you're just not going to have a great time, at least in terms of competitive Kill Team, which is, for me, like we've always discussed, the best way of playing Kill Team, or rather, the best this competitive game of a hobby is Kill Team. And so I think it's really fun to try and pursue, like, I want to win and I want to play well, and getting something like I kind of just lost due to match draw kind of sucks. And I hope they don't do something like that.
I think that part of my hate for Into the Dark is because some of the teams become even more overpowered on Into the Dark. Some of the teams are absolutely devastating, and you have very little chance to win against them on it. Not saying always, but some of the teams become quite nasty on Into the Dark. I'm not saying that it's a bad format, but if we're limited to just the symmetrical maps, I think I would rather play just open for Into the Dark, and I hope it would alternate rather than a whole day of it, ideally.
Now, for 2023, the terrain, was it a packet set of terrain, or was it just terrain that had been put out by the judges and they decided the terrain?
So it was just there was actually only two layouts of terrain, and they were for whether you were long way, like hot dog or hamburger, um, on the board. And so depending on what you got is the terrain layout you got, um, and they were all laid out with different objectives on there. It was pretty good overall, but there was definitely a lack of variety. We had essentially, like I said, just two layouts with alternating objectives.
Yeah, that part was a little unfortunate, just having the terrain be the same. But I think overall it worked pretty well, just because it felt balanced and fair, where there was clear like strengths to shooting teams and melee teams, and it didn't feel like one side was favored too much, at least in my experience. Uh, and it were at least it might have had all three deployments because I know there was one match or at least two where I deployed on the like Dorito corner, whatever you want to call it, corner Dorito quesadilla nacho. We have this conversation of what do we call that corner deployment all the time, and then there was the one where you deploy on the long edge as well for me. But yeah, it worked really well for the both of those, which was nice because it just meant that it was simple. You walk up to the table and you don't have to worry about flipping the board or anything like that. Which for that big of an amount of players, it's very useful that the judges don't have any time having to be spending flipping objectives around and flipping boards and terrain. It just keeps it simple and it keeps it nice and easy.
And did you guys find that you got on a different variety of boards, or you found yourself on the same board a couple times?
I was at the top tables, so I think I played the same board like 4 times in a row, as I kind of stuck up towards the top. Like just the way numbers shuffled, I literally ended up on the same table a couple times directly in a row.
Thankfully for me, down in the like middle half or like middle percentage of players, I played on a new board every single time, which was nice because just the amount of like jumping up, like a win gets you, top half, and then a loss puts you back down. Meant that with that many players, I think you're gonna avoid that problem unless you are either losing like every game or really contesting for that running of like best player.
See, so Connor's got it figured out. Like Tyler, you were doing really, really good, so you had to play the same boards over and over again. Whereas Connor was in the middle, got some variety to it.
I'm sorry, I have no chill. It's a well-known fact about me. Don't have me teach you how to play Kill Team.
Yeah, we've had this conversation before when I've been doing some teaching games lately and kind of putting my guys out there in to be exposed and be shot and let them have some fun. And I talked to Tyler about Tyler's philosophy. And Tyler, what's your philosophy on a teaching game? How do you approach that game as far as like how sweaty are you?
I mean, I pass it off if they're brand new, ideally, um, to someone else. Kevin, shout out to you. Matt, also, those are the two teachers at the Salem store. Um, and then once someone is feeling better about their gameplay, feeling kind of confident, I will lower their confidence just a little bit, and then we'll talk through the game and kind of tell them where they need to go, coach them a little bit, stuff like that. Although sometimes people surprise me, and they put out like a really tough game early on.
Essentially what Tyler's saying is if you feel good about yourself, he will come from the top rope and destroy you. I've yet to play against Tyler, ironically enough, but I've heard nothing but infamous stories of people like, yeah, it was like my third game at Kill Team, and I was tabled by the start of turn two. So thanks for that, Tyler. That was a great time. I learned a lot.
Yeah, a little tangent here on my first game, my first tournament game of Kill Team. So I went down to Shift Games. They had a event the night before the tournament where you could go and meet some people and play some games. And got to meet Tyler, super nice guy. Tournament starts the next day, and who do I match into? Tyler. My intercession versus Tyler's Legionaries, and I let's just say my next game was in the losers bracket.
Yeah, that was at Legionary's peak too, I believe, and pre-LVO, correct? Last year.
That was pre LVO, yeah, and that's the only game we've actually played so far too. So we've been hanging out and been buddies for a year, and we've played one game.
You need to come down to Salem more often, is all I'm going to say about that. We know that Shiv is the superior place to play.
I've got a kitchen table up here in Vancouver. I know you're up here all the time, buddy. So I think we need to have a rematch. Bring your Legionaries too. I'll bring Intercession.
Sounds good. So I'll do it sometime soon.
So back to Tacoma. What is there anything that you want to see from the tournament this year? I mean, besides maybe some different board layouts and some variety with some Into the Dark and some open board, anything particular you want to see them do that could make it to elevate that tournament to maybe say the level of a Kill Team Cascadia tournament?
I would like them to bring back the old pre-approved ops, like just the missions from the original box set, not the messed up ones that give you +1 APL, but give me like some of the weird missions back, the weird layouts, stuff like that. I don't know, just throw us for some loops this year. It's 3 years in. I've heard I don't know. I think that the next edition may be on the way, sometime after this summer. Um, and so I think that now's the time to get funky with it. Let's have some fun.
Well, we know that Games Workshop likes to be on a 3-year cycle, so if that holds true, then we probably would be in the running for a new edition coming up soon. But until we hear anything, I guess we're still playing loot capture and secure. So what that brings me to another topic. Like where do we go with those? We've been playing loot capture and secure for 3 years now, pretty much since the first crit ops came out that nobody could find. How do we change that up? How do we make it fun, or do we just kind of go with it and maybe try some new layouts, or the new team's going to make it fun? What do you guys think?
I was gonna say, I just think it may be time to explore on our own. As the community has kind of developed over the last couple of years, we have developed just kind of a feel for the game that wasn't there when it started. Kill Team 2018 was, I think, something that got a lot of people interested, but it wasn't the game I think anyone wanted. And this edition is a great game, objectively. I think that's why we're all here. Uh, and so I think that we just need to kind of take things into our own hands, come up with a new mission pack, come up with new stuff, kind of like Spain was doing at the end of Kill Team 2018 for a lot of their stuff, which was really cool.
Yeah, definitely community creation is on the rise. I'm constantly seeing stuff on the subreddit of just people like developing teams or like, hey, does this sound like a cool operative to add to a team that wouldn't make it like too crazy or like stand in for narrative? I've seen plenty of like people attempting to make bespoke Death Guard, Compendium Sisters, Death Watch for sure. I know. I think Mike in our server made a Death Watch team that came out pretty cool. It was pretty sweet. I know I've seen a lot of Compendium people or people asking or homebrewing for a Terminator team, but I'm of the opinion that a Terminator armor sucks. I hate how it looks, and I don't like the models, even the new ones, which is my hottest 40k take. And B, I just don't think they'd fit Kill Team well. It's the same problem with like the Custodies, where they look really cool and I love them, and it'd be cool to have them in, but they just unfortunately don't really fit either lore wise or the feeling of Kill Team. The other thing, though, on the more so the topic of keeping Kill Team fresh, I think ironically enough, GW could take a page out of 40K's book with a lot of the new 10th edition missions. Even though there's a significant amount of problems with 10th edition, I think the core missions are very exciting because there's ones where you as your opponent and yourself like choose like, hey, halfway through the game these objectives are going to disappear, or these objectives are going to shift like 6 inches to the left or right or something. I think in theory something like that could be really cool for Kill Team, where objectives like kind of like how loot used to be, where you could only loot it so many times. Maybe something like, if you've secured this point for 2 turns in a row, it disappears. So it's a lot more like forcing your player, your and your opponent's hands. Could be a fun way to mix up the game.
Now, one thing they do in 40k is, and we did this a little bit before the crit ops, was they do a random deck essentially where you pick your secondaries. What about bringing that piece back?
I do like the random draw secondaries. That was always kind of fun in it. I think that until there aren't awful secondaries, though, that's pretty rough, unfortunately.
Yeah, especially as we discussed, Kill Team's a very competitive game, or at least you can play it that way. Losing a match because you just drew awful secondaries, like you drew your first two best ones in the same hand and then drew nothing but like awkward ones for the rest, and losing because of that definitely can feel pretty bad. So, as unexciting as picking them may be, I think it's overall results in a healthier competitive sense.
I completely agree. I think that one place Games Workshop really could have gave us something for this season was Beta Decima. Realistically, they gave us pretty lackluster maps. Some of them are nearly unplayable and almost auto losable, depending on who you're playing against with it. So they could have given us just something new and fresh, that really kind of changed the expectations of the game and worked really well for the format and the map layouts. But they gave us more of the same there.
So, speaking of new and fresh, we've got 5 months till Tacoma when we're recording this in February. Tyler and Connor, what are you thinking about bringing, and what have you brought recently? And are you going to change that up? I know, like we talked about, Tyler, you brought novitiates to Las Vegas Open. Connor brings AdMech everywhere. What are you guys thinking for Tacoma in 5 months?
Night Lords or Mandrakes, possibly. I like both the teams a lot. They're like probably two of my things in 40K are elves and night lords. So I'm down with both the teams. Elite teams are cool. I think that they're fun. I just hope that maybe they get some love between now and then.
Yeah, ironically enough, depending on what the Night Lords come out, I've been thinking of maybe trying an elite team. Legionaries are fun, but they just don't scratch that itch. Phobos, I kind of have fun with, but I haven't played them enough to confirm. Hunter Clade, of course, is what's currently on the table. But some of the rumored teams we've heard, just both they hinted at with like, there's always been the rumor of Dark Mech and Ad Mech in general coming out some point 10th edition because for ninth edition and for both the Imperial Knights Codex, the Chaos Knights Codex especially, and then the Admech Codex, there was plenty of art of those factions either being supported or fighting Chaos Admech. So if we get that as a team, I will be happy. The Salvation box itself hinted at warriors clad in radiation, and it's taking place on a Forge World. Like GW, please, I will do so much to get an Admech team, another one. And if that comes out, it might. I think if we get the Night Lords and Mandrakes sometime in like March, we, in theory, if another 3 months later, get that new team, it might be cool enough that you can sneak that in time and get it ready for Tacoma.
So I'm going to put you on the spot, Connor. So Nightmare has come out. We've got Night Lords and we've got Mandrakes, but the next box has not made it out by Tacoma Open. And you can't take AdMech. They've been banned from the game because nobody likes AdMech. Who are you going to take?
First of all, how dare you ban my beloved? I hate you. Um, I don't know that I. There's a the biggest thing for me is I don't have as much fun playing elite teams just in my experience. Phobos again might change that. I've yet to play those, but they just I like the idea of more operatives. I've been used to it, so I've been looking at Star Striders. They always look cool. I've heard nothing but good things. Owen recently painted up a team, and they look great. And I've heard he's had a ton of fun playing with them, so I might try that. But otherwise, maybe that. The problem is I am spoiled where I've played nothing but a mid-range team that hits on threes, but I don't want to play elves because I they just don't do it for me. But there's very few teams beyond that that are 2 APL that hit on threes. So I don't know. Maybe I'll take one out of Brandon's book and bring Blooded because they I like killing stuff and Blooded are really good at killing stuff.
What team are you going to kit bash into an AdMech team? Come on now.
I definitely have the potential to do a Heretic circle with it because they're a little bit slower than Admech, but they still hit on threes and like it just reads like a tech priest. He has the crypt tech, he's got servitors and like special scutari. Like that's what I think if they want to do like a more cult themed Admech, like the actual Mechanicus. Just take one out of Heretic's team, but instead of making him a little bit of shooting team, make him like really melee focused. Give Electro Priests a chance to be in this game because I know people actually apparently really liked playing them in a first edition Kill Team. And second, their models suck. So hey, if we can get some new looking Electro Priests, I would kill for that. Otherwise, kit bashing. I know that I've seen a lot of kit bashes for the oh my god, what is their name? The Inquisition models as like AdMech Inquisition, and that could be another fun one because it gives you the option to bring a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, AdMech Inquisition seems like it'd be really cool. They tend to lend themselves to that, I think. So you only narrowed it down to Phobos, Inquisition, Higher Tech Circle. I think I'm missing a couple other ones.
I think I said Blooded as well because this I know
Yes.
Blooded probably the second best just from playing Brandon so many times that I don't need to learn their rules really.
So what he's telling you is he's going to bring a team of some sort.
Yeah, I'm bad at choosing. I'm sorry, it's hard. I'm looking at my AdMech models and they're looking at me like, how could you do this to me? They're staring directly next to me.
I give you a little grief about choosing, but part of what I want to talk about tonight is I need y'all to help me come to Jesus and find a new team myself. I've played Kasserkin for a year. I was considered one of the top players in the world. Bombed at LVO, but I've also decided that it's just time to put the Kasserkin away and let them just say their prayers for Cadia. So I need help from the two of you. I need help picking a new team. I've got access to pretty much every team besides Hand of the Archon, and I don't want to play Hand of the Archon because I have just bad bad feelings towards Hand of the Archon. Just lots of Hand of the Archon PTSD. Tyler, what do you think? What would you throw out there for me?
I guess my first question is, what do you want the new team to do?
I want them to that's a great question. What do I want them to do? What I liked about Casterkin was I liked that they had very good shooting. I disliked how squishy they were sometimes. I liked the model count because it wasn't too much. I played Intercession, obviously, like we talked about when I played with you, and moved to Casterkin as a higher mental load team, but still not a high mental load team. And I think I still want to sit in that kind of Casterkin range of complicated teams. I don't think I want to go crazy with a bunch of synergies because I just don't think my brain can handle it. But I want something that's going to be feel a little different. I played with Blades of Cain a little bit recently, but not sold on them quite yet. I like the models and they were fun, but I haven't had another game with them. I think I'm going to play again later this week, though. If that answers your question at all.
I think gives us a little bit of it. The biggest thing to me is, do you want to play a slow team or like a fast team in terms of movement? Because I know apparently Hearthkin are super fun, but I just can't play slow teams. I don't have it in me, and that's my big problem with Heretic Circle as well. As cool as they are, it's just not being fast really hurts my brain.
I don't know if a slow team would bother me that much. I mean, Casterkin they move 6 and they can dash if they need to, so they're not really fast. So I don't know if a little bit slower team would be a big deal. I have played against fast teams. Like I played Corsairs twice at Las Vegas Open, and they just ran up on me, and it was just overwhelmed me. So that might be kind of cool too.
I think that Hunter Clade may be the team for you. It's a mixed threat team. You've got a lot going on. You got some reliable shooting. Um, yeah, I think that really you should check them out. I think Connor may be onto something there with them.
Holy hell, my brain hacking plan worked. I actually got control of Tyler. This is great. But more realistically, yeah, I hate always repping AdMech, but I think they're such a good, like literally mid-range team where you have incredible shooting, incredible melee threat. Like it's why I love them so much, is because it's just a free win anytime you fight like an elite team, unless you like your dice really mess you up or something. But like having 5 models, because to me, I say always go 5 and 5 with the Sicarians and Scutari when fighting elites, because now you have 5 Rust Stalkers that can trade 1 for 1 with a Marine, and you will trade 1 for 1 with a Marine, if not outright killing them and staying alive. Otherwise, I was gonna say if you're looking for like a mid-range team, uh, it might be fun to try Inquisition as well, just because it gives you a wide variety of options, and they're strong. They look like Casterkin a little bit, so I think you'd be familiar coming in with them. And you get the option to a whole bunch of like melee threats, which will be fun going from Casterkin, which really don't have any.
Yeah, Caster can have the Sergeant, and if you pop for Cadia and get that feel no pain and hit a little harder, they can do some damage, but they're not a melee guy. Like I told last week, it took 3 of them to take down a Grot. So I do have the Inquisition painted up, and I have a couple of the ancillary supports ready to go as well too. So maybe I'll try them out, and then maybe I'll give this whole AdMech thing a try. I won a box from one of the KTC tournaments, and I think I have half of them, and then maybe I have the other half in my Imperium stuff. So maybe we'll have to talk offline, and I can figure out how to actually build these guys up.
Yeah. Speaking of which, that's something else I forgot to mention during hobby time. I've been working with Zach, another awesome community member we have, always bringing his camera to our events to take photos of people's teams, which is how so many of us have good looking photos of our teams. So thank you a bajillion times to Zach. But for a while, people have, it's fun. People ask me like, how do I build Hunter Clade? And I'm like, well, I have like 900 messages to send you. So what I've been working on is like a proper little Google document type thing that I'll give to Zach, and then he'll host it on his site. So that way, instead of writing 900 Discord messages, I can just give him a link and be like, here's 80% of what you need. Any thorough questions you have, I will still answer. Just reach out to me. This will cover the base of like, here's the most effective way to build the team type thing.
Now, one thing I'm going to want to do is also, whichever team I pick, I want to build a board. So I had a great board for my Casterkin that was broke down and it had a couple of pieces of terrain on it. Give me board ideas. I need one probably for agents apparently now, and I need one for Hunter Clade. Hunter Clade, I can just put them in a microwave, right?
I hate you. How dare you? I was gonna say maybe something that'd be cool is you. I saw your board. It was funny. I think I've seen that in person a couple times. It's really cool looking, and we'll definitely have photos for it somewhere wherever we end up putting those. But maybe try working in like a vehicle. AdMech or Inquisition, like both, ironically, have access to a whole host of standard Imperium vehicles and then weird stuff. So if you wanted to like try and kit bash like vehicles, you have that option, and it would give it like another fun thing to work with.
Yeah, get one of those Forge World Terrax drills, and then break it in half so that you can have it coming out of the ground in your display board.
That would be so sick.
All right, that's like a couple $100 worth of resin that you want me to break up and put on display board, though. I think I like the idea of maybe a vehicle, maybe not one that's going to cost as much as a couple kill teams.
I was curious, so I looked up. I was like, it can't be that expensive. Yeah, it's $155 for that drill. There goes my plan of maybe getting one or two of those in the coming future. I thought it was like 80. That's rough.
Now, 155 is not too bad. That's still, though, that's like 3 kill teams or a box of salvation and another kill team. And then what about for an agent's board? I had, when I got the Space Cops, the Adeptus Arbites, a while back, I actually had an idea of building a board for them, kind of based around the Into the Dark terrain. So on a spaceship, and then with I had a 3D printed demon host actually that was shackled there. One I got from Eons of Battle from their Patreon. But what about an agent's board? What could I do for that?
I think like an agent's like command center or like base of operations is such a cool idea for them because like the coolest part about the Inquisition is all of the stuff that they have access to. And for them to be like sending out like a strike team, they're probably they're probably organized in a pretty cool layer.
I like that actually too. I have the narrative terrain from the Into the Dark box that came with the command center that has an Into the Dark board in the middle of it. So I think that could be a really good one too.
Another thing you could look at vehicle wise is something I'm always checking out is just the Necromunda tag, but then all their resin vehicles now that they have like Ash Wastes out. There's that one, what is it called? I'm now going to look this up. But the like I think it's a dwarf prospector team vehicle, but that thing is huge. It's unfortunately resin, so it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. But that would work so well because no one sees that in person. So you'd roll up with that, and people are going to be significantly impressed.
Again, we're back to the expensive resin stuff. So, are you guys just trying to get me to spend my money? Is that what it is?
Yes, we are shills for GW.
I mean, isn't that what the point of this hobby is?
We don't have an affiliate link though, so we'll have to wait until we get that, and then I'll spend more money. But no, I like these ideas. So agents, AdMech, give me one more team that you guys think might be a good option for me.
I think Hearthkin. They're shooty, they're slow, they're a little different than Casterkin in their method of play. So it's like similar but different.
You also get a super easy, not easy, but like just awesome board idea of it's dwarves, so you obviously have them in like some cool ass mine fighting like a Tyranid warrior or something that's like bursting through. Just go full Deep Rock Galactic with it. Or if you really want to like hit bash them, make them look like Snow White's dwarves. Like each of them have the assigned role, so and you just build their little cottage in space.
I like the Snow White, I like the cottage, but my Hunter or my Hearthkin team is already fully done, except for, of course, I have one more special weapon to build. So I think I'll maybe go with the idea of the cave and fighting Tyranids. That'll probably be the one that I do. So let's talk about what's coming up for Kill Team Cascadia. We talked a lot about Tacoma and what we saw previous years, what we're hoping to see this year. But let's talk about Kill Team Cascadia. So Connor, you are decided that you're coming to the tag team terror tournament, right?
Yes, me and Brandon should be making our way down there as long as the world doesn't explode or anything.
And you've said that you're not bringing Hunter Clade?
I said that, and then Brandon was like, "Well, if you want to bring him, you can." I was like, "Brandon, no, don't enable me." So I think I'm not going to. I might bring one of the teams I mentioned working on earlier in the podcast. So there's your hint. I don't want to give it away because I have like 2 or 3 ideas of what I could do, and I might even reach into the compendium for one of them because there was something I saw that I was like, "Ooh, that could be really fun for not having to think too much." Especially because Brandon said he might bring Warp Coven to force me to think, so I don't want to have to worry about my own models being complicated as well.
Yeah, it seems like you're going to have one team that's like mind melting that you have to play for a game, and then one team that's going to be just kind of like I move guys forward and roll dice.
It's just nice and simple that way, and there's something so nice about just not having to think when I'm doing that, and it would be good.
Tyler, can you give us just for those who don't know, a little preview about how this new tournament is going to work and the format of it, and maybe also a little bit about what the prizes look like for a Kill Team Cascadia tournament?
Yeah, so this is the Tag Team Terror Tournament. If anyone didn't hear the name of it before, it's going to be a 3 round competitive tag team event. And what that means is that you and your partner will both be playing on the same team at separate boards. So you'll have, say, one person will bring Intercession and the other person will bring Phobos on your team. And your opponents will be playing Blooded and Commandos. First 2 rounds, or first 2 turning points, or halfway through the round, we're going to ring a bell, and then you're going to switch with your partner, and you're going to pick up the rest of their game and play out the remaining 2 rounds, or until completion. And then, following round two, you're going to start the first 2 rounds with your partner's team and play that out until the second turning point is done, and then swap with your partner again. Um, Throughout the entire tournament. So should be really interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be pretty exciting, and it's a nice little spin on our tournament format that we have. I think that it's going to be nice because I know that I was thinking about playing in it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but it seems like a low kind of commitment and not super competitive, but really, really fun, which I think is going to be nice, especially coming off the Las Vegas Open tournament.
Yeah, you definitely want to make it out, Chuck. We'll find you someone if need be, but I want to fight you for the first time. So come roll dice against me.
We can just do that in the parking lot too. I don't
I
have to sign up for the tournament.
I don't need to physically fight you, Chuck. I would be
Oh
demolished.
no, I am an intimidating man. Not really. I'm trying to get my buddy Nick to come play, but he's only got one game of Kill Team in so far, and he's not really ready to commit to it. Although he lives up near you, Connor, and I'm trying to get him into that South Sound or Bremerton scene up there too.
What is he doing on Thursday evening? We should be having our weekly meetup sometime this Thursday. So hopefully, if he wants to.
Well, I'll make sure that we call him out on this podcast, and then he'll be mad at me, and hopefully he'll go meet you and go play.
Nick, come learn to play Kill Team with us. We are very friendly and are not a cult.
A little culty. Now, Connor, so you're bringing Admech, you're bringing your buddy Bean with Warp Coven. Tyler, are you ready to announce your team, or are we still just going to keep that a secret and we're just going to show up at the day of the tournament and everybody will find out?
Everyone always finds out day of tournament. You're never going to find out what team I'm playing unless I have to submit a list prior to.
Are we able to get a hint?
It's going to be the most rootin' tootin' team you've ever seen.
It's Admech, isn't it?
It's Admech, confirmed.
Not at all. Not at all. It's an old project I've been working on though. Hopefully I'll finish it up after what, almost 2 years in progress.
Well, you've got like a week and a half left, 2 weeks. So you've got a little bit of time, but you got to get on it, especially with that no hobby action. Forget that whole like work and life stuff. Let's work on some hobby stuff. And then the after the TTTT tournament, we've got some other things coming up too. Connor, anything you want to tell the fans about?
I can officially, tentatively, but like officially say we have something in the works for Washington for the first time in like over a year, really, which is super exciting. I can't give you any more details than that because I don't want to promise and then everything fall apart and feel like a liar. But I just can say that I have a thumbs up with a location. We're super excited. I'm going to be working with them for the next couple of weeks to try and bang this all out. Hopefully, coming uh, after our I, coming soon is what I'll say.
All right, and then we've also got our Blunt Force Beatdown to announce for April 20th for all of you fans out there. It should be a good time up in Portland, Oregon. This is our first announcement of it too, so that's kind of exciting. Registration will be going up soon.
And that's going to be a more traditional tournament, right? And we're having it at Guardian Games, correct?
That's correct. It's going to be a standard 4 round competitive tournament. Spaces are undetermined yet, um, but it should be a great event.
Well, if it goes anything like the last conventional tournament we had, the last one sold out in I think about 20 hours, and then we opened it up and it sold out the next 12 spots or so in another 10 hours. So it's going to be once we drop that one, you guys are going to want to get your tickets super quick.
And ideally, I won't tie, and this time I will get that first place. I Our last more conventional one, I got second, which was super exciting. But I'm still so annoyed I tied because if not for that, I think it would have gotten me first. But I'll take a 3-0-1 scoreline.
And then besides that tournament, Tyler, is there something awesome coming up in October that you want to talk about?
Yeah, so we've kind of determined a date for Killscream 3, and that's going to be October 5th and 6th here in Portland, Oregon. We'll have more details coming soon, but we took a fun little field trip this weekend, scout out some spots, and we're getting real hyped about that as things start to come together.
It was a fun field trip. We got pretzels. It was nice.
There's something so special about a mall pretzel.
Ooh, a tentative hint. That is awesome that we can announce the date. I know people are super excited. I've been hyping it up to everyone that like heard about Kill Scream 2 in Washington. They're like, "Oh, you guys were that?" Because anytime I go play Kill Team, I'm wearing one of our Cascadia shirts or hoodies or something, and I'm just like, "Yeah, it's the greatest thing in the world. Please come." And just from what I've heard, what we're planning for it, if we can accomplish even like a quarter of it, it'll still be one of the coolest Kill Team events like in the world. And if I cannot just tell everyone enough. When tickets go on sale, buy them. We want everyone there that if you have even a tentative interest in Kill Team, show up. If you've played 0 games of Kill Team, I don't care. Show up. Even if you don't play, just come watch. You'll have a great time.
I think a great thing about our tournaments too is that even if you're not the most competitive person on the planet, you can still come and have a great time at our tournaments. So a nice thing about this tournament too is it's going to be one of the, assuming we get a golden ticket like we did last year, it's going to be one of the last chances at a golden ticket because it's just the weekend before the Tampa Bay Open. The Games Workshop is putting on for the US Open Tour, and then about a month and a half before the actual World Championships.
Plus, if it's anything like Killscream 2, which of course it will be, there will be so much awesome both merch and just free swag. Like we got candy and the raffle was awesome. There was super cool stickers. That's when everyone got some of their first Cascadia shirts, which was cool. I imagine we likely will have a bunch of awesome stuff to be giving out to people. Can we announce what the prize is? Because last year we had a sword. Are we able to hint or tell what that one is, or should I keep quiet about that?
This year, everything's wrestling themed, so we're going to be giving away a big old championship belt at Killscream 3. So that should be really interesting. Hopefully, some more on theme stuff there too.
And is it true that Brandon has to bring the sword with him to participate?
Yes, that's his entry ticket.
Perfect. I just want to make sure he has to bring that thing back down here. Well, gentlemen, appreciate your time this evening. It was awesome to get back together and talk to you again. So I think we should wrap this up. Are trying to get this on a weekly cadence with releases on Thursday. Appreciate Eric being our producer and editing out all of our goofs and talking over each other. Gentlemen, anything that you want to plug while we have some time? Where do we find you? Where do we find your stuff?
Yeah, for first off, thank you, Eric. For any of you that can notice, hopefully my quality sounds much better. Eric got me a full-on microphone, pop filter, stand, everything. So I feel like a proper white guy now with a podcast. So sorry to everyone that knows me, but now I get to say that. So my bad. Beyond that, thank you. of course, Chuck and Tyler for having me as well. It's been awesome to be a part of Cascadia and always talk to you guys. For finding stuff, or for finding me rather, at Spanaway, SPANNNAWAY, at everything, anything and everything. That's just my tag. So if you have questions about Kill Team, you want to learn where we play, you want to talk to me, or rather ask a question and hear me talk to you for 30 minutes about Hunterclade, that's where you can reach out to me.
And then you can find me at Lowbrow Minis on Instagram. I sometimes post, and when I do, it's usually a shirt drop these days, or some Kill Team stuff, or uh, at my merch. I do dicethrower.bigcartel.com when I do shirt drop.
And if you want to take a look at me, I am at Painting Cave Minis on Instagram. I'm not super active on there, but I'm looking to get back into it with this podcast and show you what I'm working on. And don't forget, killteamcascadia.com is where you can find all the information about Kill Team Cascadia. You can join our Discord where we talk about all the latest things with events. That's the best way to keep up with us.
Yeah, definitely join that Discord. It's beyond just being an awesome place to hang out and talk with some of the coolest people in the world about Kill Team. It's where you'll get your first announcements for the most part about when tickets go on sale. We make sure everyone is at everyone so we can be selling those out. Beyond that, you'll just get access to cool people. You can talk to anyone and everyone about Kill Team, and you'll see awesome hobby stuff. There's always cool stuff going on about conversions and anything and everything like that.
And we really appreciate everybody listening. If you can, please share this with your friends, with your family, with people you don't like. We don't care. We just want to get the message out there about Kill Team Cascadia, talk some more Kill Team, and help build this community. So we appreciate everybody who's taken the time to listen to us. And if you have any feedback for us too, we'd love to hear that as well, being that we're pretty new to this game.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you have a great night, and please give us some nice constructive feedback, but be gentle.
Yeah, have a great time.
Connor, I'm never going to play AdMech. I don't care what you say.
How dare you? How dare you do me dirty like this? I will build and paint the team.